Okay, let's unpack this. We live in an era that is absolutely obsessed with hacks.
Oh, completely. Life hacks,
Uh,
productivity hacks.
the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yeah.
We are just constantly being bombarded with these lists of what we should be doing.
Right. It's the additive approach to self-improvement. We always assume the solution is adding more.
Exactly. But today, we're going to flip that script. We're looking at a source that argues success isn't just about what you do. It's actually defined by what you don't do.
It's about stripping away the bad habits.
Yeah, the mental junk that's clogging up the gears.
It makes perfect sense if you think about it in physical terms. You can have the best workout routine in the world, right?
For sure.
But if you're eating poison 3 times a day, you aren't going to get healthy.
That brings me to my absolute favorite analogy from the research we're diving into today. It's the gym versus donuts principle.
Ah, yes.
So picture a guy, let's call him Bob. Bob goes to the gym for 2 hours every single day. He crushes it. I mean, he tracks his reps, he's sweating, he's dedicated.
But's always a butt.
On the drive home, every single day, Bob stops and eats a dozen glazed donuts.
And then Bob probably wonders why he isn't seeing any results.
Right. He's thinking, I'm working so hard, I'm putting in the hours. But he's completely sabotaging himself. And today's deep dive is based on the book 13, Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin.
And the core premise is exactly that. You can have all the good habits in the world, but if you keep the bad ones, the mental donuts, you're just spinning your wheels.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is the context.
The backstory.
Yeah, the backstory in which this list was created. It wasn't some academic in an ivory tower just, observing people.
No, this list was born out of profound personal survival.
When I was reading about the author, I actually had to stop for a second. It is incredibly heavy.
It is. So Amy Morin was a therapist. She knew the theory, but she was also a woman who faced this rapid succession of tragedies that it would break most people.
Huh.
At 23, she lost her mother suddenly to a brain aneurysm. Healthy one day, gone the next.
That alone is enough to derail a life.
But it didn't stop there. 3 years later, on the exact anniversary of her mother's death,
Oh, no.
her husband, Lincoln, had a massive heart attack and died. He was only 26.
26. That's not just a tragedy. That feels like a cursed timeline.
Yeah.
To lose your mom and your husband by the time you're 26.
It's unimaginable. And then you fast forward a bit, she remarries, she starts to piece her life back together, and her new father-in-law gets diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Wow.
And Morin writes that she felt this immediate dread, thinking, here we go again? She knew she was standing on the edge of a cliff, mentally.
She could just spiral.
Exactly, into a dark, permanent depression. So she wrote this list, not for a book deal, not for a blog. She wrote it for herself. It was a letter to herself about what not to do if she wanted to survive.
It really changes the weight of the advice for me. It's battle tested.
Right. It's not just think positive thoughts. It's how do I keep my head above water?
So before we get into the specifics, how did she actually define mental strength? Because I hear that and I think of, a stoic robot who never cries.
And that's a really common misconception. She makes a crucial distinction. Mental strength isn't about ignoring emotions or acting tough. It's about regulating your emotions, managing your thoughts, and behaving positively despite your circumstances.
So it's feeling the grief, feeling the anger.
But not letting those feelings drive the car. You're still in control.
Okay, let's dive into the list. We're going to cover the first 5 today, the foundational ones. And number 1 is a big one. It's something I think we've all wallowed in. Mentally strong people don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves.
Morin calls self-pity the most destructive of the non-pharmaceutical narcotics.
That's a pretty harsh description. A narcotic, so it's getting us high.
It kind of fits, though. Think about what a narcotic does. It provides relief. Self-pity is addictive because it's comfortable.
How is it comfortable?
Well, if you're the victim, you don't have to take action. You don't have to change. You can just wait for the world to fix it for you. It buys you time.
So it's a defense mechanism. There's a story in the source material that really illustrates this. The story of a boy named Jack.
Ah, yes. The kid who gets hit by a school bus.
Literally hit by a bus, breaks both legs.
Right. And naturally, his parents are terrified. They love him. They feel terrible. So they pull him out of school. They shower him with attention, let him play video games all day.
They're unknowingly throwing him a massive pity party.
A huge one.
And you'd think, hey, great life, video games all day. But the result wasn't a happy kid.
No, he became irritable, sad, withdrawn. Because he internalized the pity. He started seeing himself as a victim who couldn't do things.
So what was the turning point?
A therapist intervened, and she didn't offer sympathy. She challenged him. She said, Jack, I've never met a kid who could beat a school bus. You fought a bus and won.
I love that reframe. But isn't that a little risky? You know, telling a victim they're a superhero. Aren't you kind of ignoring their pain?
You're acknowledging the pain, but refusing to let it define their identity. They wrote a book together called How to Beat a School Bus.
So he went from victim to survivor.
Exactly. He drew himself with a superhero cape in a wheelchair.
Okay, so if we catch ourselves spiraling into that why me
Yeah.
trap, what's the fix? The book suggests gratitude.
Yeah.
And honestly, that can feel a little dismissive, like something on a cat poster.
I get that. It sounds fluffy. But physiologically, it's impossible for your brain to be in a state of self-pity and a state of gratitude at the same time.
They're opposing forces.
They're opposing neural pathways. Morin points to Marla Runyon, the marathon runner who is legally blind. She didn't view her blindness as a curse. She saw it as a gift that gave her discipline. She focused on what she had: strong legs, a strong heart, not what she'd lost.
So it's not about ignoring the bad stuff. It's about choosing where to point the spotlight.
Exactly. It's active resource management for your brain.
Okay, let's move to habit number 2. This connects pretty directly to self-pity, because if you're feeling sorry for yourself, you're usually blaming someone else. The second rule is mentally strong people don't give away their power.
This one is tricky because we often think of power as controlling others, but here it's about retaining control over yourself.
The case study for this is Lauren, and this is going to be very relatable for a lot of people. Lauren has a mother-in-law, Jackie.
Ah, the classic monster-in-law dynamic.
Got it. Jackie comes over unannounced. She undermines Lauren's parenting, makes little comments about her weight,
Ah,
and Lauren just takes it. She smiles, she nods, and then spends the next week fuming.
complaining to her husband, complaining to her friends, losing sleep.
And that is exactly what giving away power looks like. Lauren realized she was spending maybe 5 hours a week physically with Jackie, but dozens of hours mentally obsessing over her.
She was letting Jackie regulate her emotional state.
That's a powerful phrase, letting someone else regulate your emotional state. But isn't the alternative just being rude? How do you take your power back without blowing up the family?
You have to accept that you are in control of your reactions. For Lauren, it meant setting hard boundaries. You can't come over unannounced. You cannot criticize my parenting in my house.
Which is terrifying for people who hate conflict.
It is. But the alternative is helplessness. And Morin takes this even further. She brings up Officer Stephen McDonald to show the extreme version of this.
Yeah, this story's intense. We're going from an annoying mother-in-law to a life-and-death situation.
Right. McDonald was a police officer. He was paralyzed by a teenage shooter, left quadriplegic. He had every right to hate that kid, every right to be bitter,
Of course.
but he chose to forgive the shooter.
And this is where people get hung up, right?
Yeah.
Forgiveness feels like saying what the other person did was okay.
That's the big misunderstanding. McDonald didn't forgive the shooter because the shooter deserved it. He did it because he realized that holding a grudge was giving the shooter continued power over his life.
Wow.
As he put it, the only thing worse than a bullet in my spine would have been to nurture revenge in my heart.
That really crystallizes it. Holding a grudge is basically letting the person who hurt you live rent-free in your head.
Precisely. Retaining your power means you decide how you feel and act, regardless of what anyone else does.
All right, let's shift gears. So if we stop pitying ourselves and we take back our power, the next step is to actually do something, which leads to the third, don't. Mentally strong people don't shy away from change.
Everyone says they want to change. I want to get fit. I want to save money. But actual behavioral change is incredibly painful.
We are wired to fear the discomfort of the new.
Absolutely. The example of Richard in the book is just so relatable. He's 44, diabetic, overweight. The doctor reads him the Riot Act.
So Richard decides, that's it, I'm changing everything, and he throws out all the junk food.
Buys a gym membership.
Vows to clean the house top to bottom. And we all know how this movie ends.
He crashes and burns.
Within 2 days, he's back to eating cookies and feeling like a total failure.
Because he fell into the trap of all or nothing thinking. He tried to overhaul his entire identity overnight. But there's a deeper psychological layer, Morin points out, which I think is brilliant. The grief of change.
Wait, grief? We usually associate grief with death, not with starting a diet.
But think about it, even a positive change involves loss. If Richard gives up junk food, he loses his primary comfort mechanism. He's essentially killing off a version of himself, the comfortable Richard.
You have to mourn that loss before you can move on. That is a really profound point. We focus so much on the new you that we forget to say goodbye to the old you.
Even if the old you was kind of a mess.
So how did Richard eventually succeed?
He stopped trying to do everything. He made one small switch. Cookies for carrots. Just one. And once that stuck, he added another.
There's an inspirational counterexample to that, Mary Deming.
Mary is a powerhouse. She lost her mother to breast cancer, and for a while she was paralyzed by grief. But then she started a fundraiser walk. That snowballed into a nonprofit called Seymour Pink.
And even after she suffered a severe car accident and brain injury later, she kept adapting.
Exactly. It shows that change isn't just about fixing what's broken, it's about evolution. As Mother Teresa said, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples.
You have to be willing to cast that first uncomfortable stone. Okay, habit number 4. This one is a huge source of anxiety for, well, pretty much everyone. Mentally strong people don't focus on things they can't control.
This brings us to a concept in psychology called the locus of control.
Okay, that sounds like a geometry term. Give it to me in plain English.
Fair enough. Basically, you have people with an internal locus, they think they control everything, and people with an external locus, they think everything is just luck or fate.
And I'm guessing the healthy spot is somewhere in the middle.
Exactly. Morin calls it a bilocus of control. You acknowledge you control your preparation and your attitude, but you do not control the outcome or other people.
The story of James illustrates this perfectly. He's in a bitter custody battle, and he's trying to control everything his ex-wife does.
What she feeds their daughter, who she dates, what time the kid goes to bed at her house.
And he is miserable. He's losing money in court, he's stressed out of his mind, and he's ruining the time he does have with his daughter because he's so focused on what he can't control.
The shift for him was realizing, I can't control my ex, but I can control being a great dad when she's with me.
It's all about energy allocation, isn't it? Every minute you spend wishing the world was different is a minute you aren't spending navigating the world as it is.
Yes. And there's this incredible visual metaphor in the book for this. Heather von St. James, a mesothelioma survivor.
The tradition she created.
Yeah. She calls it Lung Leaving Day, celebrating the anniversary of the surgery where she lost her lung. She takes a plate, writes her biggest fears on it, cancer returning, leaving her daughter, and she smashes it into a bonfire.
It's so visceral.
It is. It's a physical act of acknowledging the fear, admitting she can't control it, and then symbolically letting it go so she can focus on living. It's the ultimate acceptance of, I can only control today.
I think we could all benefit from smashing a few plates now and then.
Oh.
Okay, that brings us to the 5th and final habit for today, and this is one that disguises itself as a virtue. Mentally strong people don't worry about pleasing everyone.
This is the trap of the nice person.
We have Megan. She's the church lady, the Girl Scout troop leader, the babysitter for her sister. She just says yes to everything.
And as a result, she is exhausted and irritable with the people she actually loves most.
That's the irony, right? She's so busy baking muffins for the church that she's snapping at her husband. But isn't she just being a good person? Society tells us that sacrifice is a virtue.
But here's where it gets really interesting and a little uncomfortable. Morin argues that chronic people-pleasing isn't actually about being generous.
It's not.
She says it's selfish.
Whoa! That is a bold take. How is baking muffins for everyone selfish?
Think about the motivation. Why do we people-pleaser? We do it because we want to control how other people feel about us. We want to be liked. We want to avoid conflict. We want to be seen as the good one.
So it's a form of manipulation wrapped in a smile.
That's the argument.
That is a tough pill to swallow. So when I say yes to something I don't want to do, I'm not being nice. I'm managing my image.
Often, yes. And it relies on false assumptions. The book uses the Sally and Jane example. Sally invites Jane shopping, not because she wants to, but because she thinks she should ask.
And Jane goes, not because she wants to shop,
but because she doesn't want to hurt Sally's feelings.
So you have two miserable people walking around the mall, both wishing they were home, both thinking they're being nice.
Exactly. It's a comedy of errors. If either of them had just been honest and said, you know, I'm not up for it today, they both would have been happier.
So what's the actionable advice? Just start saying no to everyone.
It's about tolerating the discomfort of not being liked by everyone. You have to accept that saying no to a request often means saying yes to your real priorities, like your family or your mental health.
It goes back to that resource allocation. You only have a limited amount of yes in you.
And if you give it all to strangers or acquaintances, your inner circle just gets the scraps.
Man, this list is a wake-up call. We've covered 5 heavy hitters today. The narcotic of self-pity, giving away power, fearing change, the illusion of control, and the manipulation of people-pleasing.
And it's important to remember, mental strength is like a muscle. You don't go to the gym once and stay fit forever. You have to constantly exercise these mental muscles.
So crucially, you have to stop eating the donuts.
You have to stop the bad habits that undo all your hard work.
So, for everyone listening, here is the challenge. Don't try to fix all 5 of these today. That's the Richard mistake.
Just pick one.
Yeah, just one. Maybe this week, you stop complaining about your boss to take back your power. Or maybe you just say no to one obligation that you dread.
And I'd leave you with this final thought from the source material. We often wait to feel like making a change. We wait for motivation to strike. But mental strength creates a paradox.
What's the paradox?
Sometimes you have to change your behavior first. Act like the person you want to be. Act confident, act grateful, act firm, and the feelings will actually follow the action.
Don't wait for the feeling. Do the work, and the feeling will catch up. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Go forth, smash some plates, and put down the donuts.
Take care, everyone.